The kind of chart that we're going to create in this tutorial is a line chart. A line chart is great for showing growth over time. So we can see that a line is trending up or that it's trending down. If you're doing something in a regular interval, we can very easily see what happens on that line chart. So here I have some information about 4 students who took tests in regular intervals, September, October, November, December. And I'm going to create a line chart to see how each student has grown over the course of the trimester. So I'm going to highlight all the data I would like to include in my chart. I'm going to hit this button over here to find my insert chart. And I'm going to create this. Now it starts out with a bar chart, and that doesn't really give me a lot of good information. It's separated out by student. It's a little confusing. I think it would be better done as a line chart. So I'm going to come down here, and you can see my different kinds of line charts. The first one is just a line chart, and it's going to create straight lines in between my points. So there's that straight line when it goes through, it's going to create kind of a jagged appearance as it turns. As opposed to the next one is a smooth line chart. It's going to go smoothly through the points. There aren't going to be any angles. It's going to be a nice smooth curve. I'm going to go with the line chart because I think that's going to show me growth better. So I've selected that, and here you can see a line chart. Now, this doesn't really communicate what I would like it to, because here I have each piece of data is each month or each test score is represented by a line. And I would prefer each student to have their own line so they can see if this line is trending upward or downward. And that's representative of the student rather than just random positions on this graph. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to switch my rows and columns just like that. And now each student has their own color. So Mike is this blue line. Chelsea is the orange one. Carrie, we can see, is yellow, and Mark is green. And we can see our test scores. They're in the correct order: September, October, November, December. And that is looking much better. And there's a couple of things I still have a problem with here. So for one thing, this right here is not the appropriate label. This is supposed to be the month. And their title is not really appropriate. And I'm missing my header over here. I'm missing my label. So I'm going to come up to my axis, and it's labeling this student name. I want to change that. So we're going to remove that. Student name right there. So put that back in. And here you can see, here's the different month test scores. Add my axis label and change my chart title. I'm going to go to customize. This is automatically reading all these dates all the way across. Okay, so it's reading those. I'm going to go to customize, chart and axis title. My vertical axis title is empty. So we're going to add this. Now remember, when we have quantitative data, we want to include the units. So on my y-axis, I have the test scores. And these are done as a percentage. So I'm just going to note that. Test scores done as a percentage. I also need to change my chart title. Something that's a little bit more representative of what my chart is representing. I'm looking at my student test scores for the first trimester. And as always, I like to center them. They just look better that way. Now here you notice I have a lot of empty space down here because we started our chart rather at 0. I would like to change this so we can really kind of see trends and how things are changing a little better. So I'm going to customize my vertical axis right here. Here you can see we have a minimum and a maximum, and I can actually set that minimum and maximum to whatever I want. Right now it defaults to 0 to 100. I want my minimum actually to be at 50 because there's nothing below 50. So why are we showing that? And then our maximum, they changed that to 90. And now we can see a little bit better how this data it looks a little bit more dramatic, that we have had a good increase in test scores for a lot of students over the last couple months. So it's just a little bit more obvious to us now. And again, my last check is always going to be, I'm going to look at my data and at my chart and make sure that it's behaving the way I expected. So Mike was, it says 50%, 50%, that makes sense. He had a 55, a 65, and then an 80. So yeah, that all makes sense. Just double checking that. Looks good. And then I'm ready to use my chart in other documentation.